Welcome to the Magic Power Podcast with Sarah Jasmin Cartsburg, where you get all the keys you need to awaken your spirit and soul, discover your life's purpose, and learn how to use the incredible power of your mind. To download your free and awesome bonuses, go to magicpowerpodcast.com/free. And now, your host, Sarah Jasmin Cartsburg.
Do you remember the biggest dream you had when you were a teenager? The one thing that you would have given up everything for? Well, my biggest dream was a little bit unconventional because my biggest dream was to become enlightened. I'm serious. And if you think now, well, she probably has very spiritual parents or a surrounding that supports this wish, you, my friend, are wrong. Because the truth is, my parents were atheists, and my entire surrounding was absolutely normal. So there was nothing spiritual in my life that could explain this deep desire inside my heart, except that it must come from within me and not from the outside. But let me start at the beginning. When I was 8 years old, my dad was killed in a hot air balloon accident. If you are wondering now, why the hell you've never heard about a hot air balloon accident? That's because they are very rare. So not only had my dad been killed in an accident, but it was also the kind of accident where you begin to wonder, why on earth did this happen to him? Why on earth was he in that one hot air balloon that fell off the sky in the last 100 years? This really made me question everything. It made me question my entire life. It made me question if God really existed. Why would he do such a thing? Why would he steal my dad? Do you know what I'm talking about? This might have happened to you as well at some point in your life. But being a child, it was especially difficult to deal with. And one thing that made it even harder was that everyone else just kept living. All my friends, they went on with their normal life as if it was normal. And of course, their life probably was, but mine wasn't anymore. So I really lost this ability to just be happy, to be in the moment, this ability that almost all children have. And the sudden death of my father had taken it away from me. I didn't only feel unhappy, but I also started feeling like an outsider, as if no one could understand what I was going through. And they probably couldn't, because how do you want to understand such a thing if it has never happened to you? It's impossible. But as a child, this made me feel very lonely. Of course, you could say, I was lucky. At least I still had my mother and my brother, and they were going through the same struggle as I am. But this event has really changed the course of my life, because ever since then, I've been on a quest to become happy again. I've been on a quest to become free from all these worries and fears and things that just shouldn't be in a child's life again. My mom also didn't know how to deal with it. So she decided to learn how to meditate. And my brother and me, we decided to learn it as well. So during these meditation classes, they told me that if I meditate 2 times a day for 20 minutes each time on a regular basis, I would become happy again. So I was highly motivated. My mom still tells the story today that even one time when I was really sick and I was in the hospital, I still got up on my cushion in a seating position in the hospital bed, and I would start to meditate 2 times a day for 20 minutes because I really, really desperately wanted to be happy again. Well, it turned out it wasn't that easy. And just the 20 minutes a day, 2 times a day, didn't work out for me that well. But I did believe that you can become happy if you meditate. Maybe it was just the wrong method for me. The method we were learning was TM, a very famous meditation technique. So, by the time I was a teenager, I had not only become a vegetarian all by myself, by my own choice, but I had also decided that I will use this life that is given to me to become enlightened. And the reason why I wanted to become enlightened so badly was that I believed by reaching nirvana, I could be ultimately happy again. So I convinced my mom that I need to go on a year-long student exchange to Thailand when I was 15 because I figured that Thailand would be the perfect place to learn more about meditation, to learn more about Buddhism, and to learn everything about the mind, while staying in a country that I love because of its sunshine and its tropical climate, and also the people. I really loved the Thai people back then. So a few months in that student exchange, I found myself on a hard, cold stone floor at 3:30 a.m. getting ready to rise. How on earth did I get here? Well, they told me there is this meditation retreat that I could go on, and of course I said yes, but no one told me about the details, which were we had to sleep on a stone floor, we had to sit quietly and meditate for just about 10 hours a day. We were not allowed to talk. We were not allowed to write. We were not allowed to read. And we were not even allowed to have dinner. Can you imagine that? The first few days were really terrible. I was sitting there every morning, being freezingly cold. The mosquitoes would bite me up. We were also not allowed to kill the mosquitoes, by the way, because it was a Buddhist monastery. So there were like thousands of mosquitoes trying to attack me, while I was supposed to sit quietly and stop thinking. My God, it was impossible. I was a teenager. I was constantly chatting in my mind. There was just no quietness. It just didn't work out for me. If you had offered me at that time that you could make my wish of becoming enlightened go away, I would have gone for it. But the wish just didn't go away. You probably know this, that some things are so deeply embedded inside of you that you just never lose them. They are always there. Sometimes they they are more in the background. And sometimes they are more present, but they just never vanish. And you know that if you don't listen to it, you will never find peace in this life. That's how it felt like for me. But after a few days, my patience of not giving up paid off itself, because I had such an amazing spiritual breakthrough that you can't even imagine if you've never experienced it yourself. It didn't even happen during meditation, but it happened afterwards in the break we had. I was walking towards the dining hall, and suddenly everything started to shift. My perception became so strange, and everything was happening like in slow motion. It was like as if I was one with everything. I was one with the trees surrounding me. I was one with the air I was breathing. I was one with my heartbeat. I was one with the universe. And I was extremely happy. If it hadn't been a monastery, I would have been convinced that someone had taken drugs in my food. But since it was a monastery, I figured that this must have come from the meditation. So, having this experience, I was hooked. And that moment, I made a decision. I made the decision to do whatever is needed to experience such an incredibly amazing state of consciousness as often as possible in my life. So I finished the other days of the 10-day meditation retreat, and unfortunately, I didn't have such an experience again. The strange thing that struck me afterwards was that during the retreat, a lot of people have actually left, which I can understand, because it is really hard to watch your mind for 10 days straight and to suddenly be faced with the irrational things that are going inside of your mind that you have just never been aware of. And it can be frightening to look at yourself so intimately. But even though the 10 days were really not easy, and even though I was only 16 years old by that time, and even though I had only that one spiritual breakthrough that maybe lasted for like 30 minutes, or maybe it was an hour. We didn't have a watch to check the time. It never even appeared to me for a single second that I could give up, because the desire inside of me was just so strong to give all I could into having more of these experiences. Being back in my regular life, after my ashram experience, after my experience in that monastery, I realized that meditating with this technique is way too frustrating for me, because if 10 days meditating straight all day long only gave me one single spiritual breakthrough experience, that wasn't enough to keep me motivated enough to keep meditating every day. So I went on a quest to learn and to find the best meditation techniques that are out there, because I was sure that there must be something that is more easy and that is more applicable in daily life. I just knew there had to be something that is not as difficult as Vipassana, the technique that we had learned in the monastery. So I started traveling all around the world to learn from the best meditation teachers and spiritual teachers I could find. And I had the honor to learn from a few really, really amazing teachers. But it was only when I tried reincarnation therapy that I had the next breakthrough. Because the teacher I was working with at that time, she had the attitude that the spiritual knowledge and the spiritual abilities and clairvoyancy and all those things have already happened to us in previous lives. So the experiences are actually already there. Your mind already knows how to have these experiences on a more frequent base. But you are blocking yourself from these experiences because of a traumatic experience that you've had in a previous life. That sounds really weird when you hear it for the first time, I know. But what she did was she took me back into a past life of mine where I had led a very, very spiritual life. And by working with me with some therapeutic techniques, she helped me rediscover my spiritual gifts that had been inside of me all the time. They were just never available to me because of this blockage that I had put on my abilities. No matter whether you believe that previous lives exists and the previous life I had remembered was true, it didn't matter. Because after that single session, my spiritual gifts were free. They were available to me if I knew how to access them. And it made this entire spiritual journey and quest I was on so much easier. Oh my God, I wish this had happened to me like 5 years earlier, so I could have saved all these endless hours of learning Vipassana meditation. But anyway, at least it happened to me, so I could profit from now on from just clearing the things away that stopped me from activating my full potential. Let's fast forward a few years in time. I had been studying alternative medicine in India because I really had this deep urge inside of me to help people uncover their true spiritual gifts and to relieve other people from their problems, because having gone through these phases of my life where I was just sucked up so deeply in all my inner struggles that I couldn't get the energy to really meditate and to have spiritual experiences and to be happy and to be free. And now knowing that there are keys like certain meditation techniques and reincarnation therapy and other techniques I have learned along the way that make it so easy to be happy and free again and to access your own inner power, I really wanted to give this to other people as well, because it had turned my life upside down. So I want to be honest with you. I don't think I've learned very much while studying alternative medicine, because You might know this to be true in your own life. You don't learn the important things from books or from teachers. The most important things in your life you learn through your own experience, through trial and error, through magical coincidences that just somehow happen. So after having studied alternative medicine in India, I went on a trip to travel the world to find the perfect place to live. I knew that I wasn't happy with the idea of living in Germany, but I also didn't know where else it would be so much better. So I sold everything I owned and I bought a one-way ticket to Nepal and decided to go with the flow, to listen to my intuition, and to not return until I have found a place that I can feel at home at. It didn't turn out exactly how I imagined it to turn out, because a few months after traveling, I've had some more amazing spiritual breakthroughs on the trip, but I'm going to tell you about that in another episode. So a few months after I started traveling, I got really sick. A few months after I had started traveling, I met up with a good friend of mine in Thailand, and I had already been feeling for the last weeks that I wasn't physically well, that something was going on, but I thought it's just like a normal tropical disease, like week-long diarrhea or whatever you get when you travel through India and Nepal and all those countries. But after my friend had arrived, something very, very strange happened. I was lying in a hammock having a major headache, and she was talking to me, and suddenly I could still hear what she was saying, and I was trying to answer, but I was being sucked out of my body and losing all the control of my body. So I couldn't answer her anymore. I couldn't even move. I just realized that she was freaking out because I wasn't moving anymore. I wasn't speaking anymore. And she didn't know what to do. And I saw all of this from way above, outside my body, but I couldn't do anything about it. I was screaming as loud as I could, but nothing would come out of my mouth. It was so freaky. I was really afraid because something like that had never happened to me before, and it was freaking me out. I think it was freaking my friend out too. And then I was gone. What happened next? I only know this part of the story from listening to my friend's explanation afterwards, is that she started running around the resort we were staying at, shouting like, "Is there a doctor here? Can anyone help me? My friend looks like she's unconscious. I don't know what to do." And oh my God, you won't believe what happened. This is such a magical coincidence that I can't even really believe it myself. The guy living in the cottage next door happened to be a doctor. And he didn't only happen to be a doctor, but he also happened to have had a patient not so long ago who had died from typhoid. So he was looking at me, and he immediately realized, just by looking at me, that I must have typhoid, and that if I'm not being flown to a hospital right away, I'm going to die. So he somehow managed to get an airplane to pick me up and fly me to Chiang Mai. And all of this happened while I was in a dreamlike state in this other world where I was meeting my spirit guides, and I was discussing with them why I should go back, or I'd rather say why I don't want to go back. I really didn't like my life so much at that point. I was never truly happy, except when I was meditating and having spiritual experiences. I was constantly having pain, headaches, or something similar. I couldn't really figure out the meaning of my life, and it all seemed pointless to me and meaningless. So being in this other world and talking to my spirits, this was where I wanted to be. I felt so much happier being up there and being in this other world where my body and my physical whatever didn't matter anymore. It just felt so much more easy and light and so much more natural to me. But at some point, the spirit guides convinced me that, of course, it is my free choice, but that I have come to planet Earth, that I had been in this human body, in this life, for a reason. And it's an important reason, because I have to help other people to wake up, to raise their consciousness, to experience the same experiences that I could have on a daily basis, because I knew all the techniques, how to have them. And I decided to give it another chance and to come back and to stop strolling around and looking for the meaning of life and start doing why I am here for. And then I woke up again. I found myself in this very strange hospital room, and I had no idea how I got there. But I was alive again. And from that day on, I knew why I am here for. And this knowledge has changed everything, because now I don't feel anymore that it's a burden to have a human body. Because, having a body is not always easy. You have to eat healthy, and you have to exercise, and you have to sleep. And everything is so slow here on earth compared to the spiritual world, the spiritual realms. But having a body also allows me to interact with other human beings, with you, because not everybody is able to talk directly to spirit guides and to angels and to beings who live on other dimensions and other planes of existence. But I'm able to live in both worlds, so I can take the information and the knowledge and everything I get from the spirits and transfer it through my podcast and through my work and through my meditations and through my teachings and with my clients, to give it to you so that you can benefit and so that you learn how to find your own path through life and how to rediscover your true inner power and how to find the meaning of your life and how to remember why you have come here and what you are supposed to do with your life. Even though my journey of getting where I am today was really hard sometimes. It made me an outsider for many years of my life, and it nearly killed me. I wouldn't trade it for anything, because by following my heart's deepest desire, I've learned to find all the answers I'm looking for. I've learned to trust my heart and my intuition over what others tell me to do. I've learned that life is full of miracles, small ones and big ones, if you allow your eyes to open to see them. I've learned that when you are all alone and everything seems to fall apart, there will always be another human being reaching out to help you, no matter where you are in the world. I've learned that going after my dreams is the only way I want to live my life, because through my deepest desires, my soul speaks to me, and I know that through your deepest desires, your soul speaks to you. I've learned that if you follow your heart unconditionally, even if it seems irrational sometimes, you can create anything you really wish to have and experience in your life. If there's anything you would like to ask me, anything you're having trouble with, any question you have about your life or about the spirit worlds, please feel free to reach out to me. I have created this podcast to help you connect more easy to your soul and to your spirit and to the deeper meaning of your life. And I've created it so that you never feel as lonely as I used to feel when I started on my spiritual journey, because I felt that no one out there understands me. To start your spiritual journey, I want to invite you to try some of the free meditations that I have created for you, that you can find on my website magicpowerpodcast.com, that will help you in an incredibly easy way to use a shortcut to having spiritual experiences. Because I know that you might not have 15 years time to spend meditating in ashrams and traveling through India. So please download your free meditation and start your journey now. I hope to see you again in one of my next episodes, and I'm deeply honored that you have given me some time to connect with you and to listen to my stories. I hope you have a truly magical and wonderful day.
Thank you for tuning in to the Magic Power Podcast. If you loved this episode, please share it with your friends and subscribe to her show now on magicpowerpodcast.com.